All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to take a guided tour through a proposed national framework for regulating artificial intelligence right here in the United States. Think of this as a blueprint, one designed to really shape how AI grows and fits into our society. We're going to break down its core legislative recommendations.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through these 7 key pillars of the proposed policy. We'll cover everything from protecting kids online to making sure America stays at the forefront of this incredible technology.
So where does this whole framework kick off? Well, it starts with maybe the most important and vulnerable group, our kids. This first pillar is all about giving parents more power and setting some clear rules for how AI platforms have to protect minors online. What's really interesting here is that it's not just a one-size-fits-all solution. You can see it's a multi-layered approach. The framework suggests building on laws we already have, like the Take It Down Act, to fight things like deepfake abuse, but it also calls for new tools to give parents direct control and requires platforms to be proactive about reducing risks. Next up, the framework moves from the digital world into the physical one. It starts to look at the real-world footprint of AI. We're talking about those massive data centers needed to power all this, and how they impact local communities. And this slide, right here, just perfectly captures the huge tug-of-war at the heart of AI development. On one side, you have the goal of protecting homeowners from footing the bill for the massive energy demands of these new data centers. But on the other side, the policy wants to cut the red tape to build that very same infrastructure faster. It's a classic balancing act between local needs and national goals. This brings us to what might be the thorniest issue of them all, a critical question for every artist, musician, and writer out there. Who actually owns stuff that's created by AI? And what can these AI models legally be trained on in the first place? Now, to even begin to understand this debate, we have to get on the same page about a really important legal concept called fair use. It's a cornerstone of copyright law that allows for things like commentary, news reporting, and parody. The huge debate right now is whether training an AI on millions of copyrighted images and books actually counts as fair use. So here it is, the billion-dollar question. And what's fascinating about the framework's answer is what it doesn't do. Instead of trying to write a whole new law, it actually recommends letting the courts figure this out, basically admitting that there are really strong legal arguments on both sides of that fair use debate. Okay, moving on from who owns what. The framework pivots to an even more fundamental American value, protecting free speech. How do you do that when AI can moderate, promote, or even bury content on a scale we've never seen before? And the language here is crystal clear. The goal is essentially to build a firewall between the government and these AI companies. It's designed specifically to stop any administration from using these powerful new tools to censor lawful speech that it just happens to disagree with. Let's shift gears and look outward, because this isn't just a domestic issue. We're talking about a global race for AI dominance. The next section lays out a national strategy with a very clear goal. Make sure the US is the one writing the next chapter of AI history, not its rivals. The strategy here is really pragmatic. Instead of building some brand new, massive department of AI that could get bogged down in bureaucracy, the idea is to encourage innovation using the systems we already have. This means creating safe testing grounds, or sandboxes, opening up valuable government data for training, and using the expertise that already exists in our federal agencies. You know, all this talk about tech and global competition is great, but what about the people, the American workers? Well, that's what this next section is all about. The proposals here are focused on things like investing in STEM education, creating partnerships to upskill workers, and providing resources for people whose jobs might be changed by automation. The goal is to make sure the benefits of AI are shared as widely as possible. And now we've reached what, from a legal and structural standpoint, is probably the single most significant recommendation in this entire framework. It's the huge question of who gets to write the rules for AI. Should it be the federal government, or should we have 50 different approaches from 50 different states? The answer this framework gives is pretty decisive: one single national standard. In legal terms, this concept is known as preemption. The whole idea is that one federal law would override or preempt all the different state laws. This is meant to create a stable, predictable environment for AI to grow across the whole country instead of a confusing and contradictory patchwork of rules. So what would that actually look like? This table breaks it down really well. It shows the proposed division of power. States would keep their traditional authority. You know, they could still go after fraud and use zoning laws to decide where a data center can be built. But they wouldn't be able to regulate the core design of AI technology itself, or, for example, punish a developer because someone else misused their tool.
This division of labor is absolutely central to the framework.
All right, we've walked through all 7 pillars. Let's take a step back and pull it all together. What are the big, essential takeaways here? When you boil it all down, what you see is a massive balancing act. It's trying to protect citizens, especially our kids, while also giving innovators the fuel they need to win the global AI race. It tackles some problems head-on, but it punts the really tough legal ones, like copyright, over to the court system. And maybe most importantly, it argues for one set of rules for the entire nation. And that leaves us with the final, crucial question we have to ask ourselves. A single national standard, it sounds clean, it sounds efficient, right? But is it the best path forward? Could it end up stifling local innovation, or maybe fail to address the unique concerns of different communities? Figuring out that balance between federal power and states' rights might just be the most important part of the AI conversation from here on out.